Welcome to a region of untapped potential, where fertile soil and abundant resources promise a prosperous life. However, beneath the surface, a different reality exists. Conflict and strife has taken hold, threatening community and economic foundations.
Between 2016, 2017, 2018, there were lots of clashes between farmers and herders in Adamawa State, particularly in Numan Federation.
Before the coming of commuters, my husband was attacked. 8 people, 8 attacked him.
Before the coming of the commuters, the cattle people, in fact, sometimes they are very selfish because they are after their cattle and they hardly listen to people.
In the past, they would steal our cattle and sometimes even beat our children when they went out.
My house was burnt down. All we had were the clothes we were wearing, my wife and I. It reached a point where farmers blocked the cattle route. In some villages, cattle and community members share the same water source. Many lives and properties were lost.
They called the police to arrest our young men and seize our cattle. Instead of justice, the police beat them up.
This is the story of a region on the brink, where farmers and herders clashed in a cycle of violence over natural resources that seemed impossible to break. It is a story of a people torn apart by differences and a land crying out for peace. But then, something changed. The Coexistence project, funded by the European Union, arrived, contributing to the mitigation of conflict over natural resources between farmer and herder communities in Taraba and Adamawa State, bringing hope and reconciliation.
The Commuters Project Phase 1 and Phase 2, I would say Phase 1 was about strengthening existing peace-building structures that were on ground because such had operated in Adamawa State previously before the Commuters Project, and identifying other peace-building structures in the local government that we worked with. So it was about establishing these structures and ensuring that it had the right composition of traditional leaders, religious leaders, women, youth, and government officials. In some instances, security officials as well, that would undergo trainings in transformative dialogue methodology, in conflict analysis, and would meet periodically to look at the threats, the signs of violence, the issues that would come out of the community that needed their intervention. So we had 3 levels, starting from the community to the local government and state level, where the structures were established.
The Commuters Project Phase 1 and 2, as we are aware of the continuous issues around natural resources, especially how it complicates farmer-herder crisis.
It is focused and designed around 4 key specific objectives, and each of those has different. Each of these have also different activities under it that will lead also to achieve realizations of those specific objectives.
In Commuters 2, some communities were added. Of the 10 communities were added, and the Commuters 1 was 22 communities, while in Commuters 2 were 32 communities. Then also under Commuters 1, Taraba was not part of it, but in Commuters 2, Taraba State was added as part of it because of the gains that was recorded under Commuters 1. So it was expanded to to capture Taraba State.
So for me, the first factor that gave rise to the success of Comitas project is the coming together of the three organizations and bringing in our expertise. The second factor for me has been our community-centered approach. So Comitas project has been implemented through a community-centered lens. While for us, Search, IOM, and Mexico, we see ourselves as implementers and implementing partners, we have come to see the communities and key stakeholders that we work with as very key stakeholders that we need to engage. So we've gone through a hand-holding process where for all the peace building mechanisms and initiatives that we brought up, we did not just lead the implementation of these initiatives, but we held the communities to understand what this meant and to also lead these processes themselves.
The Comitas project was implemented by Search for Common Ground Nigeria with its consortium partners, International Organization for Migration, IOM, and Mercy Corps in Taraba State, across 2 local government areas and 7 in Adamawa.
Adamawa State Government is partnering with Comitas because ab initio it recognized the fact that peace, which is the main activity of the Comitas project, peace is the fulcrum around which any form of development takes place. Without peace, you can't go to the farm, the market, the school, and so on and so forth. So we recognize the fact that peace building is very critical, and so here is an agency, here is an organization that is promoting peace and enhancing peaceful means of conflict resolution, which is in line with what we are doing as a government. This administration is also investing heavily in peace building. This becomes more pertinent in a society like ours that is quite heterogeneous. And in particular, on the harder farmer conflict. Adamawa is an agrarian state that is endowed with agricultural resources, both in terms of arable agriculture and livestock resources. Yet it is a source of conflict between the two. And so we believe that if you address harder farmer conflict, which is not just an economic activity, but is an activity of the livelihood of the people, then you would have tremendously gone a long way in addressing the social, economic, and even political development of our state. So we believe that this organization, partnering with them, will enhance the development and sustainable development of the state.
Before the coming of Comitas, there was conflict, which was very bad. The effect was so rough on the people. We found out that in some communities, some people don't go there. Let me say some farmers don't even go there. And some herders don't even go into some communities because of it was as bad as that. So like this road was like a road for herders coming to sell their no-no, going to other markets for selling of their livestock. It got to a point where they cannot just cross to this place. You understand? And it gets to where we cannot go into, I'm talking about farmers now. Farmers can't even cross somewhere here. So, it was as bad as that. You could see a farmer or a herder wishing in your heart to if I could just strangle this one and kill. It was as bad as that. There was this aura of hatred.
We called for a meeting and asked the herders the challenges they are facing in this local government. They said lack of cattle routes. They said they want cattle routes to make it easy for their cattle to graze. We spent almost 3 days working on this cattle route. We opened the route from Borno to Kiam. Before now, herders and their cattle walk on the quota, but now that we have expanded the cattle route by 50 meters on both sides, so that the cattle can walk freely. This is the biggest cattle route in Adamawa State.
When the Comitas project began, Search for Common Ground's first initiative was establishing an early warning and early response system. To facilitate dialogue, a 3-tiered platform was created. First, community level, grassroots discussion and conflict resolution. 2. Local government level, collaboration and support from local authorities. 3. State level, high-level engagement and strategic response to emerging issues.
The structures are threefold. The most basic structure is the community response network, where at community level you have community leaders, traditional leaders, women's group, youth group, who come together, are selected and come together to go through trainings, capacity building, and meet on a monthly basis to do an analysis of the conflict. So it's like the first layer of our early warning system. They do an analysis of the conflict and they are able to identify issues that they can work on.
The truth about it, it is the commuters that open our brains and our minds to know how important to address early warning.
We learned the 5 W's to verify information authenticity. When did it happen? Which location? How did it happen?
They said when we see something, we should say something. Before now, if I see people fighting, I don't involve myself. I just pass them quietly because I don't want any problem. But with the early warning, early response training, we were taught to report the situation to the community leaders so they can do something on time before it gets out of hand.
But the people of such taught us how we can enter between two people without selfish interest. Because when we are self-centered, then the problem will not be solved. One has to be free-minded.
In a world divided by differences, the Comitas project brought a community together through transformative training. The program's 4 specific objectives were: strengthened traditional conflict resolution and mechanism, improved trust in authorities, enhanced collaboration on natural resources management, improved intra- and intercommunal perceptions.
Comitas brought farmers and herders together, educating us on peaceful coexistence.
We meet monthly at the CSAD level to discuss progress and challenges, but if issues arise, we convene to resolve them. If the situation is beyond us, we escalate it to PAD in Yola for intervention.
As part of its sustainability plan, Search for Common Ground employed participatory theater to promote coexistence in the communities. Local actors identified within the communities were trained on Search's methodology on participatory theater for conflict transformation, where they played relatable characters resonating with audiences and inspiring mindset shifts.
I'm part of the participatory theater where I play the character Kaka. Now everyone calls me Kaka. Even outside of acting, the name has become a part of me.
So it was actually an eye-opener for many of the people who participated in the program. It helps them. I remember one of the testimonies we received outside the program, after the program, somebody said he never knew that they were going to be able to work together as a team with even the herders and the farmers because of what transpired. But because of this theater now, he has learned something and he's going back to their communities to actually go and implement it.
The drama enlightened us about peaceful coexistence. Previously, when cattle enter our farm, conflict arose between farmers and herders. However, the search for common ground intervened. We now resolve disputes peacefully without escalation.
Some people may not understand verbal explanations, but participatory theater helps them grasp the message easily. This method has a greater impact.
The drama has helped us to coexist peacefully in our homes and community.
While Common Ground journalists and media fellows share a common goal of advocating peace, they approached it differently. The Common Ground journalists utilized social media, radio, and television to promote peace, while media fellows focused on in-depth reporting and served as peace ambassadors in their respective fields. Both groups undergo training on responsible reporting practices, emphasizing accuracy and sensitivity.
But for what I've passed through, in the effect of what committees have done particularly, I noticed that some of these things are not necessarily the way I was looking at them. And the trainings changed my worldview particularly and made me to be a better person, particularly when they had to encourage that quite a number of us be brought into the State Peace Committee on Farmer Harder issues.
My involvement or my primary assignment as a media fellow with Search for Common Ground, as the name implies, media fellow, we're always on social media to counter misinformation, disinformation, and counter fake narratives that are there on social media about farmer herder clashes.
The main targets, beneficiaries of the Comitas 2 project are herders and farmers. So as a media fellow, I support these teams, the project team, in carrying out trainings. For example, there is this training we call Common Ground Approach Training, where you train these community members on how to resolve issues among themselves.
One person called and he was saying, now in Tambo community of Gire local government, we are not facing such incidents.
We're, taught an act of conflict-sensitive reportage or reporting. And the ERA project also, in terms of engagement and all of that, helped us and equipped us in a way that we became a bit sensitive in terms of reportage, not to escalate the conflict, but to de-escalate the conflict.
The way I used to fix my headlines before has totally changed. Basically, it has changed. Formerly, I can just, if I hear that there's a story that happened, maybe headers and dabble into the farmers' land and then eat up their crops, I'll just say Fulani hates, Fulani hates men and all of that. But for now, it has really changed.
Thanks to the tireless advocacy efforts by the implementing partners of the Comitas project, supported by Peace Architecture Dialogue and Taraba Forum for Farmer-Herder Relations in Taraba State, the government took a significant step towards peace building. Following a research study and a policy brief by TAFAR highlighting the need for a state-level peace commission, the government established the Taraba State Bureau for Peace and Conflict Management in December 2024 as a major milestone as part of its sustainability strategy. Search for Common Ground successfully transferred its community-level peace structures, including Community Security Architecture Dialogue, CSAD, and Community Response Network, CRN, to the respective local government councils. This milestone was marked by a formal MOU signing between the council and Search for Common Ground. At the state level, Search for Common Ground handed over peace structures like PAD and TAFAR to the Bureau for Peace and Conflict Management. To ensure a seamless transition, the Bureau management were trained on conflict transformation and early warning systems.
These documents will be studied and analyzed and properly utilized by the various agencies, especially the Bureau for Peace and Conflict Management. Thank you for your dedication and commitment.
We've gained significantly from the Comitas project.
Since Comitas intervention, I can confidently visit my neighbor's home and feel at ease, enjoying their hospitality as if I were family.
I remember there was a time we went for a training in one of the hotels, and then the herder and the farmer stayed in one room, which wouldn't have been possible. But because the herder said she has never slept in a room alone, one of their wives and the farmer too said she has never stayed alone. So they agreed and they even eat together. And we have less of such reportage from such areas where Comitas is involved. It's a plus to us.
Herders now visit areas they previously avoided, thanks to Comitas' peace-building efforts. They even share fresh milk and local chicken with me.
Peace is our greatest wealth. We have encouraged our people to live together harmoniously.
We've achieved cooperation and now enjoy peace, thanks to our collective efforts.
Before now, we don't sleep peacefully in our homes. But now we can sleep peacefully in our homes, visit our farms without fear and return safely.
I used to go into those communities that are not peaceful, but now I'm witnessing improved peace in communities where I've worked. May God protect and bring peace to those areas that are not yet part of the project.
From our lived experiences and expert observations, where we have worked with the communities, so it's interesting to know that during these 48 months, we initiated trial periods. So there were months where we would ideally have convened meetings, and we intentionally held on with such convening the meetings. And we saw communities taking up these initiatives themselves during those months. Those for us were examples that this will continue after the project.
And then lastly, it also looks at the resources that are invested into peace building. It's usually difficult to attribute success to peace building initiatives or make a case for the value of the money invested in peace building. But now we can see that you can be able to track what investment has gone into peace building vis-a-vis the impact that the impact that it's making.
Like a masterfully brushed stroke on the canvas of peace, the Comitas project painted a vibrant tapestry of harmony, weaving together the fractured threads of the lingering conflict. The once turbulent landscape of Adamawa and Taraba State, where farmers and herders had long been embroiled in discord, has been transformed into a serene and tranquil terrain. The structures carefully crafted by the Comitas project served as a sturdy foundation that guided the warring parties towards a path of reconciliation, understanding, and peaceful coexistence.